June 25, 1941. Near the town of Dubno, western Ukraine. Dawn fog rolls over the fields, thick as smoke from a dying fire. The sun has barely risen, yet the earth already trembles. German Panzer crews of Panzer Regiment 11. Part of the 11th Panzer Division. Stand atop their Panzer III OSF. J tanks. Tightening straps, checking optics. And wiping condensation off their vision slits. They are confident, almost amused. For 3 days, they've been tearing through Soviet defenses with ease. Burned out BT-7s and broken T-20 litter the roadside like abandoned farm tools. To the German crews, Soviet armor looks outdated, flimsy, laughable. Oberfeldwebel Karl Metzger, commander of a Panzer III, nudges his loader with a grin. Another day of target practice, Junge. These Russians weld their tanks together with hope and prayers. The men laugh. Spirits are high. The blitzkrieg seems unstoppable. But then, a distant thunder. Deep. Metallic. Wrong. The ground vibrates softly beneath Metzger's boots. He freezes, eyes narrowing toward the tree line. A faint silhouette moves, slow, deliberate, heavy. Then another. And another. Shapes that don't match anything from the intelligence briefings. Lieutenant Hans Keller climbs halfway out of his commander's cupola. Binoculars pressed to his face. What in God's name is that? The fog parts just enough. 20 Soviet tanks emerge, not the old thin-skinned models the Germans expect. These are broad-shouldered, with sharply sloped armor plates that deflect the morning sunlight like mirrors. Their tracks are wide, built for the mud and marsh. Their long 76.2 mm guns jet forward with a kind of predatory confidence. For the first time since the invasion began, the German lines fall silent. Keller lowers his binoculars. His jaw tightens. That's new. On the Soviet side, Commander Senior Lieutenant Mikhail Voronov rides in the lead tank, an unfamiliar monster to the Germans, but already legendary to the Red Army. The T-34 model 1941. Inside, the turret is cramped, hot, and loud. But Voronov feels a grim certainty. Steady, comrades, he calls out. Voice reverberating in the steel belly of the machine. We strike hard. We strike first. His driver, Ivan Lebedev, grins as he pushes the T-34 forward. Let's show them what real armor looks like. The German gunners scramble. Panzer granite loaded. Range 600 meters. Fire. The first German shell whistles toward the advancing Soviet line. And bounces. A metallic clang echoes across the field as the round ricochets harmlessly off the T-34's angled front armor. Inside Metzger's tank, shock ripples through the crew. What? Load AP. Fast. We already did. Another German shell hits. Another ricochet. Now the Soviets fire back. Voronov's gunner, Sergei Antonov, adjusts elevation. Range 580. Firing. June 25, 1941. The same battlefield near Dubno. Minutes after first contact. The air is now a whirl of dust, smoke, and exploding steel. Oberfeldwebel. Karl Metzger grips the edge of his open hatch as another 76 mm round slams into the ground. Just yards from his Panzer III. Showering the tank with soil and shrapnel. His driver curses, trying to reverse through the churned dirt. Faster, Wilhelm. Faster. I'm trying. The ground is too soft, they move better here than we do. Metzger knows it's true. The wide tracks of the Soviet tanks glide across the mud with ease. By comparison, the German panzers sink, grind, and scrabble for traction like trapped animals. He doesn't have time to finish the thought, another blast erupts. And he feels the shockwave punch his chest. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Hans Keller, commanding a tank just 2 vehicles over, tries to coordinate the scattered formation. His headset crackles violently. Repeat, unknown Soviet. Armor, cannot penetrate frontal, requesting air support. Static. Another voice bleeds through the interference, panicked, trembling. They're flanking, God help us, they're flanking left. Keller swings around, scanning the horizon. Through the haze. The dark silhouettes of T-34s are no longer advancing in a straight line. They're maneuvering, fast, using their sloped armor like shields. As they pivot through the terrain. Impossible, Keller mutters. You shouldn't move that quickly with that much armor. But the Soviets are moving quickly. The T-34's Christie suspension, unheard of in German designs, gives them a terrifying advantage. They glide over trenches and debris as if riding on springs. Inside his turret, Senior Lieutenant Mikhail Voronov watches the disorganized German response with mounting focus. His crew breathes heavily, sweat rolling down their faces in the suffocating heat. We press the center, he orders. Break them before they regroup. His gunner, Antonov, nods sharply. Targets aplenty. Antonov lines up another shot, a Panzer IV this time. One of the newer German models with a short-barreled 75mm gun. The shell leaves the T-34's barrel with a blistering crack, slamming into the Panzer IV's turret ring. A jet of flame erupts from the hatch. Voronov's loader, Dmitry, grins despite the chaos. They thought we were primitive. Who's laughing now? Outside, German crews crawl out of burning tanks. Some dragging wounded comrades. Others clutching radios that no longer connect them to anyone who can help. Metzger looks across the field and sees a nightmare unfolding, an entire Panzer company being overwhelmed not by superior numbers, but by superior machines. He shouts into his radio, voice cracking. All tanks, retreat 50 meters and angle your armor. Aim for their tracks. Before he can finish, a T-34 bursts through the smoke like an iron beast. Its engine bellows. Its armor, blackened by hits that failed to penetrate, glints like the hide of some unstoppable animal. June 25, 1941. Mid-morning, Dubno region. The battlefield is a scar of churned earth, smoke, and fire. German tanks that once symbolized invincibility now lie scattered, smoldering, and hollowed. The cries of wounded men echo across the fields, blending with the roar of engines and the staccato percussion of machine guns. Oberfeldwebel Karl Metzger peers through his periscope, stomach churning. Only a few Panzer IIIs remain operational. The T-34s advance in calculated waves, each tank supporting the other. Their sloped armor deflects the German shells. And their guns, though less accurate at extreme range, hit their marks with devastating precision. By God! They're coordinating, Metzger mutters to his loader, Fritz Lang. Fritz, usually quick with a joke, is silent, gripping the turret ring with white knuckles. Inside one T-34, Voronov's crew is methodical. Target that flank. Voronov orders. Cover the center with suppressive fire. Antonov fires again. A Panzer III erupts in flames. The explosion throwing debris like splinters across the mud. The German crew inside has no chance. Their radios have fried from nearby hits. They cannot call for reinforcements. They cannot escape. Back at the German regimental headquarters, Major Erich Schneider frantically scribbles notes. Losses are mounting, 3 Panzer IIIs, 4 Panzer IVs destroyed in under an hour. Reports flood in, T-34s are moving through gaps no one thought possible. Crushing infantry support, overrunning artillery positions. Everywhere we hit them, they shrug it off, Schneider mutters. He slams the map down. Our tactics, our guns. They're useless. This is not a fluke. Meanwhile, on the front line, Lieutenant Hans Keller struggles to keep his remaining men alive. Smoke stings their eyes. Dirt flies in every direction. The Germans attempt a counterattack on the left flank, hoping to trap the T-34s between 2 lines of Panzer III units. The plan fails spectacularly. Voronov anticipates the maneuver. The lead T-34 swings its turret toward the advancing Germans, and a single round annihilates the Panzer at the front of the formation. Its comrades slide past with eerie precision, crushing vehicles caught in the chaos. One German crew member, Gefreiter Heinrich Braun, screams. They're indestructible. It is not bravery speaking, it is raw terror. By mid-morning, the battlefield resembles a war-torn nightmare. Burned-out panzers, abandoned infantry, and scattered artillery litter the muddy terrain. The T-34s, despite being fewer in number, dominate the field through mobility, armor, and firepower. Voronov takes a moment to glance at the horizon. Their confidence. They mocked us, he says quietly. They did not know what they faced. For the German crews, the reality is inescapable, their tanks. Their strategy, their blitzkrieg. The weapon that tore through Europe with surgical precision, has met a counter that outclasses them in every measure that matters. June 26, 1941. A hastily convened German High Command meeting. Zitomir. The previous day's disaster at Dubno has rippled through the German army like an electric shock. Reports arrive constantly, each more alarming than the last. T-34s annihilating Panzer units. Red Army formations holding ground far beyond expectations. And German losses mounting at an unsustainable rate. General Feldmarschall Gerd von Rundstedt stands over a massive map, tracing the Ukrainian front with a trembling finger. Beside him, Heinz Guderian, the famed Panzer strategist, paces, jaw clenched, eyes sharp. They're faster, tougher, better armored than anything we expected, Guderian growls. Our Panzer IIIs and IVs are obsolete against these machines. Obsolete. Colonel Friedrich Weber, in charge of armored weapons development, swallows nervously. We need thicker armor. More powerful guns. Wider tracks. We need a tank that can fight the T-34 on equal footing. Von Rundstedt slams his fist on the table, rattling the pins on the map. Do it. Immediately. Every engineer, every factory, everything. We cannot afford to be outclassed in the field. At the front, the surviving Panzer crews are already improvising. Metzger and Keller meet briefly near a shell crater. Surrounded by burning wrecks and exhausted men. We can't keep fighting like this, Keller says. His face smeared with dirt and sweat. We need something bigger. Something stronger. These T-34s. They're unstoppable in open ground. Metzger shakes his head grimly. No. Not unstoppable. But they've forced our hand. We'll develop new tactics, new tanks. But it will take time. And time is a luxury we don't have. Meanwhile, Soviet propaganda capitalizes on the encounter. Newspapers praise the T-34's performance. Soldiers receive commendations for their daring maneuvers. And the Red Army's morale skyrockets. For the Germans, the psychological blow is as severe as the physical destruction. Back in Germany, engineers at Krupp and Daimler-Benz begin feverishly drafting prototypes. They study captured T-34s, measuring sloped armor angles, analyzing the Christie suspension, and calculating the ballistic performance of the 76.2 mm gun. Entire production lines are retooled, schedules accelerated, and plans for the new Panzerkampfwagen V Panther begin to take shape. At the front, the lesson is clear: tactics alone will no longer guarantee victory. The T-34 has demonstrated that a combination of armor, firepower, and mobility can decisively shift the battlefield. German tank crews adapt where they can, traveling in tighter formations, focusing fire on flanks, and using infantry and artillery to support every advance. But the T-34 continues to dominate where numbers are equal. Even the Luftwaffe cannot turn the tide immediately. Dive bombers attempt to attack the T-34s. But the Soviets' coordination and dispersed formations minimize the damage. The battlefield has evolved faster than the Germans can respond. July 1941. Rear echelon workshops and front lines across Eastern Europe. The echo of Dubno lingers like a shadow. German tank crews no longer speak with the same swagger. Instead, their words are measured, cautious. Every conversation about tanks, every glance at the horizon, carries the unspoken dread: the T-34 could be anywhere. In a repair depot near Lviv, Techniker Otto Braun, a tank engineer, runs his hands over the thick, sloped armor of a captured T-34. He notes the simplicity and efficiency of its design, despite being robust. It is surprisingly easy to repair. Its diesel engine, unlike German Panzer's gasoline engines, resists fire, and its wide tracks make muddy terrain almost irrelevant. This is no ordinary tank, Braun mutters. It's a machine built to endure, to dominate. And we built nothing like it. Meanwhile, reports from frontline units continue to stream in. Entire companies of Panzer IIIs and IVs are immobilized or destroyed by a handful of T-34s. Radio operators relay the same grim news. German rounds bounce off, flanks are exposed, and attacks falter under the relentless advance of Soviet armor. In one field near Rivne, Oberfeldwebel Metzger and Lieutenant Keller witness yet another T-34 assault. Their remaining vehicles are battered, their men exhausted. Yet the Soviet tanks approach with the precision and confidence that once defined the Germans themselves. This is different from anything we've faced, Keller says quietly, surveying the battlefield. Their tanks are smarter, faster, stronger. Metzger nods. Not smarter, Hans. Engineered better. And that is the problem. The German High Command, now fully aware of the technological gap, accelerates development of the Panther and upgrades to the Panzer. 4. New tactics are drafted, emphasizing combined arms coordination, tanks with infantry support, artillery barrages, and air cover. But each adaptation feels like playing catch-up against a foe already 2 steps ahead. On the Soviet side, morale surges. Voronov and his fellow T-34 commanders are lauded as heroes, their success becoming a rallying cry for Red Army units. The T-34 is not just a weapon, it is a symbol of resilience, ingenuity, and hope. Back at Dubno, the battlefield has been cleared and reclaimed by the Soviets. Burnt-out German tanks litter the fields, a grim testament to their miscalculation. German officers write new reports, detailing the failures of their existing armor and the urgent need for innovation. In Berlin, Hitler himself is briefed. The words T-34 and superior appear repeatedly, creating a sense of urgency that drives unprecedented changes in German tank production and strategy. For the first time, the Wehrmacht confronts the reality that victory in the East may require more than courage. It requires an entirely new class of weapons. As Metzger and Keller regroup their surviving men, the lessons of Dubno settle into their bones. The laughter of early June has vanished.